Welcome to another video, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to be discussing Rose Montoya and the expose at the White House. Just very briefly, I'm not going to be long. Of course, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, and drop me a comment if you feel like. So let's jump right in. Let's take a look at what happened.
Welcome to the White House.
Thank you.
Happy Pride Month. Happy Pride Year. Happy Pride Life.
Yeah.
Transgender children.
You are beautiful.
You are heard.
You belong.
You are understood.
You are loved.
And you belong. One of the bravest and most inspiring people I've ever known.
The bravest and most inspiring people you've ever known. Wow, that's a pretty deep statement coming from the president. I mean, we have a lot of men and women at Arlington. I would beg to differ on their behalf. You know, men and women cut down their prime for their country. Nothing there. Those that came back maimed physically and even more so mentally. Nothing there, right? Presidents who were assassinated for the cause. You know, you had Abe trying to bring on the greenback to get out of the debt to the banksters. Apparently Kennedy was trying to do the same thing. This guy had his head blown off. But there's nothing there, right? Okay. All right.
I mean, you're welcome.
Good folks.
Can we take a little video? Hi, Mr. President.
So this is where the issue really is, right here. This person decided to lower the dress and expose the breasts. Right? Now, let me just preface this by saying I don't have anything necessarily against trans people. You make these decisions as an adult, and, you know, whatever consequences come your way, of course, you have to deal with them as an adult, as an individual, or maybe you have a support team. However, there is a code of conduct. There's some sort of decorum and a manner that you should carry yourself in when you're at an event. I mean, that is not hard for anybody to understand, I hope. Right? It's like going to, let's say you go to a party, right? A wedding. Go to a wedding and, you know, you meet this pretty girl, right? You're a guy. You meet this pretty girl. Do you, you know, just let things fly out in the open? Because, you know, some sparks fly between y'all. So, you know, with the kids there and everything, y'all just, you know, let it be what it is. Because if this is okay, you understand that after that, it just gets worse. If that gets exposed and it's allowed to slide, then from there, it's the other parts that are going to be exposed. I don't know how many of you saw the pride marches in other places. It was complete nudity. But just so that you don't think I am making this up, I want to assure you that after this, even though this person got backlash, they came out and said what they did was fine. When the backlash got even worse, then they tried to make an apology video.
My trans masculine friends were showing off their top surgery scars and living in joy, and I wanted to join them.
Should have gotten in trouble for that situation. You have to remember that there were just everyday LGBT people that had been invited to this event, and then there were also influencers like Rose Montoya that had also been invited to this event. So when you have everyday people that aren't social media influencers, they're not necessarily going to get thrown under the bus the same way, because Rose is an influencer and chose to put it on her social media, which I know her Instagram alone has over 100,000 followers. I don't know what her TikTok has, but I think her TikTok is at least as successful, if not more so, than her Instagram. So there's going to be a different consequence for her than there's going to be for the trans men. And also, the trans men, if they're really men, why wouldn't they step forward and protect this woman? Well, why doesn't margarine hold up like real butter? Because it ain't real butter, girl. Besides, we all know that everybody wants to be brave until it's time to actually be brave. I also do fully understand when people say that a chest is a chest and a nipple is a nipple, and I agree with you guys on that. Like, if a woman wants to take off her shirt in public the same way a man can take his shirt off in public, I think that that should be completely allowed. But as far as at the White House, I think we all can agree that nobody should be taking their shirts off at an official event at the White House, especially when we know the fact is right now where we're at as a society, women are not supposed to flash their breasts in public, and it's not supposed to happen around kids. And so if you're a trans woman and you're presenting yourself as a woman, that is considered indecent, and you shouldn't do it at a place where kids are, which this was supposed to be a family-friendly White House Pride celebration. This wasn't West Hollywood Pride. This wasn't San Francisco Pride. This was a White House Pride event. So not really a Pride event at all. And now here she is apologizing, which, like I said, I believe is a huge mistake for her as the person that she's claiming to be, because like anybody that apologizes to any kind of cancel mob, she's basically ineffective. She's a non-issue, and a victory has been had. I think that America is tired of not only the LGBT community, but especially the trans faction, which she has become the poster girl for the trans movement now, whether she likes it or not, and she didn't set a good example. So even other LGBT people are not having it with you. So you in the mainstream at this point, Rose Montoya, nobody wants you in that capacity. LGBT doesn't even want you in that capacity. And
There you have it. Need I even say more? Now, this person on screen is Rivera, apparently a comedian, has a channel on YouTube, and this was the response. So you have to understand, it's not when these people come out and say things like, oh, it's just the conservative right that has problems with the LGBTQ community or anything that the trans activists do. You have to understand that that is not true. Some of these people have big platforms, they have loud voices, so their stuff tends to go viral and you see it a lot. So maybe your perception might be, okay, this person is telling the truth. Not necessarily. Maybe in their eyes, maybe they're delusional, who knows. But you have to understand that people from this community itself, even the T part of it, are against what they're doing. That's a fact.
Do you think this will set the movement, the community back?
Yes.
Oh yes, it's already started. Like the governor's already starting to go ahead and process with the different amendments and things and stuff like that. Like they just had one about the youth and the hormone therapy and stuff like that. So this is a big setback because now they're looking like, okay, so this is what we're gonna do in the public. This is how we're gonna act. Okay, just keep them away, lock them up. That's what they're looking at us like animals now because she wants to go to the White House and flash her brick.
I, alongside other powerful voices in the queer and trans communities, were invited to be represented, seen, and heard in unique and a very special way.
Rose Montoya, aka the White House Flasher. I love that people call her that. It just tickles me. I know it's silly and I know it's overly dramatic, but I still think it's funny that they call her the White House Flasher. But Rose Montoya has come out with an apology, and if you thought that I wasn't going to take this apart,
I'm right on top of that, Rose.
and even though in a way I think it was the right thing to do, at the same time I knew it was a mistake. But it's good for all of us because this is the signal to the beginning of the end with the trans ridiculousness. Mark my words, I will make my case and then you will watch the way that this will play out.
In a quick moment of fleeting and overwhelming trans joy,
What's the difference between trans joy and regular joy?
That's a good question. Because can that trans joy escalate? You know what I'm talking about. Because that is really this person, Rose Montoya, did not have bottom surgery. Alright? Just saying, if that joy escalates.
So if trans joy is like trans everything else, then trans joy is not real joy. But if you squint, it looks like real joy. But then if you really examine it, it's not actually joy at all. But eventually, they're going to try to gaslight us into believing that not only is it the same as actual joy, but is in fact what joy is. And then one day soon, trans joy will start trying to take the place of real joy. And then we'll all start losing our jobs if we don't just shut up and agree that trans joy is in fact real joy. Or maybe trans joy is just an act of narcissism disguised as real joy. You decide.
So, as I said, I think the case is clear. Because if this person is allowed to do this without any consequences, the natural progression is escalation. And I don't have to paint a picture of what that kind of escalation is. As I said, if you've seen any of the other Pride March festivals and stuff like that, London, and I think what was it? Is it Sao Paulo or somewhere like that? I think in Brazil. If you've seen how these things escalate, then you know what I'm talking about. So I'm not even going to go there. But there you have it. From their own community. It was wrong. The end. Until next time. I'm out. Peace.